All right, so with the insane success of Epic Games' Fortnite, and even some of the clickbaity type of videos that Nat's brother does, check him out over on Top Extract. Mm-hmm. She is nods. So Fortnite has been a massive cash cow, and now it looks like Epic Games is going to attempt to take the crown away from Steam, the planet's biggest online game shop, when they create their new Epic Games Store.
Good.
Yeah. Makes it sound like you guys have had some issues with Steam's horrible customer support, huh?
It's not really the customer support that bugs me. The thing that bugs me is that...
It's all the anime porn.
Well, I mean, how could you get pissed off with that? But the main thing is that I feel that Valve has become very lazy and is just relying on Steam for income. And
well, yeah, they're printing money with Steam.
Yeah. And because of that, they haven't released any new games.
That's why they can only count to 3. They can't count to 3. I mean, Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Part 1, Part 2. There's not even Part 3 of Half-Life.
So hopefully, if we're lucky, this may influence Valve to make more games and Epic to make less.
Well, how many games has Epic been making besides Fortnite and, I guess, like Unreal Tournament?
Well, they also... like when you download the Unreal Engine, yeah, but it's heavily promoted on there.
Yeah, and then there's like issues with the whole royalty issues for devs. Of course, are concerned about that, and the fact that some games are supposed to be going on the Xbox marketplace and just PC in general through Steam. But I guess Epic made a deal with these developers of Ashen.
Yeah, and I've heard Hades as well, and there's another one.
Yeah, and then there's just a general problem with them not, I guess, having too much right now on the launcher, but it's making waves. So
my general opinion is that the marketplace is a good thing for consumers. So ever since I think this was announced, didn't Steam say that they're going to make it so that instead of just 70% of the game's revenue going to the developers, they're going to change it to 75%? And then here comes Epic Games saying, okay, we're going to make it so it's now 88% of the money that you make on our platform is going to be going directly to you. And the 12% we take, if you use the Unreal Engine, which apparently has a 5% licensing fee, they'll waive the licensing fee. But from what Kahuna was saying earlier, it sounds like there might be a couple of hidden caveats.
Yeah, so full exclusivity, so you can't really promote it on a platform more like audience like Steam. Or any of the smaller ones.
Which, yeah, I mean, granted, you get the 88% though, but then you cut out like a massive chunk of your market.
Yes.
I mean, ideally, what you want to do is you want to put it on GOG, you want to put it on Steam, you want to put it on you want to put it everywhere. I mean, even itch, depending on if you're an indie developer or not.
Yeah.
Which brings me to one of my bigger concerns, and originally the topic that we've bounced around for ages now, is if Epic Games makes a online store, are they going to go with the more hands-on or hands-off approach when it comes to curating the content on their platform?
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing, since people are not really too happy with Steam's policies at the moment, at least. Well, I guess more the SJW types are.
Oh yeah, well, Kotaku, Polygon, Eurogamer, Extreme Tech. Let's see what else we got floating around here. The BBC. It sounds like the mainstream gaming press is, unsurprisingly, really trying to shame the fuck out of Steam since, I think, June or July of this past year for having a very allow everything approach to the content that they allow on their platforms. Everyone except for Reason Magazine, of course, which is my kind of go-to, which says that, quote, "The video game company Valve's new content policy for online store Steam is amazing. The company's hands-off, user-centered approach is a model other content platforms would do well to emulate." And inside this article by Christian Britschke from June 7th, he suggests that the fact that they're doing a very, very hands-off approach with game content, unless it's explicitly illegal, or if it's just like created for trolling people, like if you had like the Anita Sarkeesian beat 'em up simulator.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're going to keep everything very, very hands off, especially in in retrospect of the game Active Shooter, which was a school shooting simulator, allegedly.
This issue all boils down to, do you think of Steam as more of a platform like YouTube, you know, or Facebook, where they're not actually responsible for the things that are put on the platform?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you see it as more of like a Nintendo, where, you know, any game that comes out has to have the Nintendo stamp of approval? You know what I mean?
Like, more of a publisher, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's different if you had like a game that ruffled some feathers, you know what I mean? It's different if it had the Steam mark of approval on it than if they just put it on Steam, you know, and Steam, if you saw Steam as a platform, you know, they're not responsible for the things put up there.
Right. I mean, apparently Valve has gotten a lot of flack, again, from the shaming press, saying, Eurogamer says, quote, Steam's content policy is both arrogant and cowardly. And then Extreme Tech saying along the lines of, Valve's new content policy for Steam is a triumph of cowardice over curation. Valve has never been particularly interested in customer service or in providing a clear, concise set of rules for what kind of content is or is not acceptable on its platform. To some extent, this problem affects every modern internet community, and firms like Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Reddit have also struggled to balance their desire to appeal any content with you. Blah, 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 blah. I really don't give a fuck. Here's the thing, is these outlets are condemning Steam's very hands-off approach, very consumer-based approach, and suggesting that they should adopt similar hate speech type laws, these vague hate speech type laws, in favor or in contrast to the vague hands-off approach that Steam is currently doing. So they're saying that Steam's hands-off approach is too vague, and then they're turning around and saying that the hate speech laws, which are vague on Facebook and whatnot, is the model to go to.
Yeah, although I just wonder if they knew like the whole backstory ahead of time, where they actually were targeting, you know, adult content games, as far as like, you know, trying to, I guess, police people, but they end up hurting their consumer choice. I guess they figured it out, and then peering into pressure from a anti-sexual exploitation advocacy group, they were actually hurting, you know, minority developers like women and LGBT.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Every time I open up fucking Steam, all I see is like the
anime
titties everywhere. I mean, it's Steam has become a hentai platform, and I guess, you know, the old saying that sex sells, which it clearly does. So I'm not really a big fan of that particular game style, but guess what? In Steam, you can choose what you want to see. You can click on a game that doesn't appeal to you, and you can say, you know what, I'm not interested, and then you never see it again. Done.
Exactly.
I mean, the amount of consumer choice, I'd rather have the choice and be able to block things I'm offended by, than to not have the choice at all. If I don't want to see a game that has anime titties or extreme violence, I can click on something like the game Hatred, the Postal remake, the game where you're the gothy-looking guy, heavy metal dude who goes around and just kills people point blank and stuff, killing civilians. You know, it's the mass shooter simulator. But if I didn't want to see that, I can just click on the button and say, this doesn't interest me, and I never see it again. What's the fucking problem?
It's annoying because the way I see it, it's almost like if you're a woman and you go into a clothing store and there's a men's section and you go, I don't want to see the men's clothes, take them away. You know what I mean? The store has to cater for everyone who goes in there, not just you.
Yeah. It's this weird way, like, people's, like, I guess, insecurities, and they just seek validations, I guess, from corporations nowadays. Is just so bizarre to me.
Well, they expect the corporations to play mother to them. And that's the thing that genuinely pisses me off. We live in this era of all these fucking man-children, these people, these Peter Pan complexes.
Arrested Development.
Yes, Arrested Development, saying that, oh, you know, this offends me. I need the company to exercise this authoritarianism to take down things I don't like. Get fucked.
But it's their social responsibility.
No, their only responsibility is to make money. and to provide customers with a service. If you're a game developer and you put out something that is shit, like Kahuna and I were talking earlier about that hack ROM, the KKK Brothers, which is a Super Mario Brothers reskinning. It's shit, but it's one of those things where you look at it and it's like, yeah, this is bullshit, and you just go on with your life. You don't have to fucking start an advocacy group for it. It's stupid. It's dumb. You just keep on moving.
A lot of the time, games like that only get popular because people start complaining about them and drawing
because of
attention to
controversy.
them. Yep.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder how come gamers' balls have completely fallen off in the last 15 years. Because I remember back in the day of Mortal Kombat and Joe Lieberman, the gamers united around this, saying, no, Congress, you can't tell us what we can and can't play. Granted, Night Trap is a shit game, but we should have every option to play it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden Jack Thompson comes out saying, oh, Grand Theft Auto is horrible and violent and it's a murder simulator, and gamers rallied around that and said, no, that's bullshit, fuck off. And then we have the era of Anita Sarkeesian and the feminist movements and all these. I don't even want to call them game reviewers because they really seem like a bunch of like authoritarian betas.
It's almost like complaining to a cinema that they're showing a film that you don't like.
Yeah.
The cinema has to, provide a platform for these films to be watched. And, at the end of the day, if they're getting money for it, they have every right to, as long as it's not illegal.
Yeah, and as long as there's a group of people who are willing to buy it. I mean, if you make a game that's intentionally offensive, one that pisses off a lot of people, you're going to suffer because you're not going to get any money out of it.
Yep.
I mean, it's that invisible hand. And again, granted, the sex games on Steam is overwhelming, but if there's a demand for it, then cater to the demand, make your money, give the consumer a product, and move on.
Yeah, interesting enough, seems GOG kind of has the same stance towards those types of games. Like, we kind of will have stuff for if it's intentionally supposed to be offensive, then that's one thing. But if it's part of the art of the game, like the artistic expression, and if there's a market for it, then they don't see a really huge problem with it. They actually said that with Steam trying to get rid of those games before their infamous statement, they actually said that, they found support on smaller platforms like GOG or Humble and stuff like that were more open.
Mm-hmm. Where does it end? I mean, if the offensiveness, everybody's offended by something. So are you going to take down war simulators so that any game based in World War II will have all the Nazi stuff removed, like in Germany, for instance?
Well, I mean, the Wolfenstein games where they removed the swastikas?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Which they still have Hitler and they still have the same, rhetoric. If you play the Wolfenstein 2, despite some of the more cringy aspects, there's a lot of rhetoric in the game, what the Nazis actually believe, which managed to stay in there, but oh my god, the swastika, that's the bad part.
Yeah.
Or the new was it the new Doom game where they were like, all the extraterrestrial monsters are welcome.
Oh yeah,
Something
yeah.
like
That was so subversive and amazing. I just couldn't stop laughing about it.
Yeah, it just really is ridiculous because I just see games as another medium of fiction. I mean, I've heard podcasts from Joe Rogan when he was talking to the writer of Fight Club, how people try to kind of tone police, to use one of their terms, when you have to say certain things, but even though it's related to his appearance because he's gay, but he can say the word faggot, so they kind of got mad at him for doing that. But it's just this is my experience, so it's you can't really have media hold up as a mirror to reality. So I'm just kind of wondering, how can the medium mature and sustain itself outside of being something just for kids if we can't explore deeper or darker themes that might make people uncomfortable.
Exactly. I mean, if I'm trying to think of some examples where the main character struggle is surviving violence, in a Holocaust, or surviving rape, or all these other things that really create very, very strong characters.
Well,
very interesting characters. And just at face value, they're saying, oh no, you can't have this in a game because it offends people, so there can't be mature themes.
Well, what about that character in Silent Hill 2, Angela, who got raped by her own father?
Yeah. Or the original Silent Hill 3 plot, which was supposed to be less about a cult and more about Heather having an unwanted pregnancy and possibly an abortion.
Supposedly, that's not confirmed.
Yeah, it's rumor though. But I mean, the Silent Hill teams who made fantastic, raw and deeply psychological stories in their games, they were kind of left to their own devices.
Yeah, and even though like the horror genre has gotten like flack over the years for depictions of these kind of like brutal topics, it is ultimately like an exploration of humanity's inner darkness and ultimately overcoming it. Just coming to grips with this is our world.
Exactly. And you're right. For the medium itself to mature, you got to have more than Smash Brothers and Pokemon. I mean, granted, I enjoy Smash Brothers, and when I was very, very young, I enjoyed Pokemon, but it's like this is the level of arrested development they want to be stuck at, and this is all it should cater to.
Have you not listened to any of the Soy Boys? That's what they want. Oh my god, my wife's boyfriend got me a Switch.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
it's just like perpetual just wanting to be validated, wanting to feel like endorsed or special, I guess. But if it comes to like confronting insensitive topics, even if it's like in a good light, I'm just kind of curious about like the founder of itch.io Leaf's thing, like he's gonna just have his ban hammer out for anything that's like racially insensitive or offensive or bigoted, and it's just like, well, what is the intent is what I'm getting at. Like, what is the intent? Is it just to be offensive, or you're just offended that these things exist, so you just don't want to see them in your media? It's like a quote I found while researching. It says, censorship is like denying steak to a paying customer just because a baby can't chew it.
Baby can't chew it, no shit. That's actually really good, I love it. Because a baby can't chew it, because a baby can't comprehend it. Can you imagine if Silent Hill 2 came out right now and they had to rip out the entire Angela subplot?
Yeah, I mean, it just fucks with the narrative, and to me, that just made the game like kind of even more disturbing. You just felt bad for her.
Hey, what about the feminists would probably be complaining that Maria was sexually objectified.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Even
the
though
point.
that's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. Oh god.
And James is a representation of toxic masculinity.
Pyramid Head's rapist. We got to take out Pyramid Head, and then the entire fucking there goes all that.
Social Justice Hill.
Social justice hill.
Heather's actually transgender.
Silent Hill to Me Too
Harry
edition.
Mason's a gay man. His wife didn't actually die. He just left her for another man. No, in fact, he never had a wife. It was a man. That's why they had to adopt a baby from the road.
I just hope that with Epic's new store, I don't think they're gonna deplatform Steam. I think Steam is way too established. Too many people have content on there. The deals are too good, and apparently, from what I've been reading, the Steam platform itself is very, very light compared to like Origins and the uLive or whatever the fuck it's called, and even the Battle.net. So I don't think it's going to be dethroning Steam anytime soon. But if Steam can have a little bit of a run for its money, if it prompts Steam to do better as far as like customer service, great. If Epic Games decides to take a more hands-off approach like Steam, great, fine. If they decide to kind of follow the itch model, I kind of worry, and I don't think that it's gonna really help them out in the long run.
Well, I think the main thing is just providing any competition to Steam.
Yeah,
Because competition is always ultimately best for the consumer.
Yeah, and the competition angle is exactly why I prefer Steam's open-end approach of, hey, you know what? If you want to post a game on our platform, try it out and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of just have to start somewhere. I mean, there is some stuff I liked as a developer with the itch platform because it is smaller, so you kind of, and the founder Leaf is like only a tweet away if you have a question about something. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot of customization. They don't take any royalties as far as last time I checked, and so you can just get 100% of profits, 100% rights to your game, no DRM or anything like that. But it's just this whole thing about just this content policing is just like, yo.
Yeah. Yeah, thought policing basically. I mean, granted, it's a dog whistle, but I mean, think about it. Let's say you want to create a horror game like Rule of Rose, which is a lot of themes about child abuse, and it's a highly sought after game, very rare, and it's been banned in Europe, hasn't it?
Not all of Europe.
Yeah, but it's still banned in a large swath of it.
I have the copy of the game, but it's in French.
Well, you better learn French.
Don't tell me I can't watch Once Upon a Time in America just because there's a rape scene.
That too.
Yeah, and then as a female dev who probably might not agree ideologically with some of the the founders or any of the people on the platforms per se, like, does that invalidate my experiences or my viewpoint? Like,
or the story you want to tell.
Yes, exactly.
Well, at this point they're torn because do I believe all women or do I stick to my ideological principles?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just needs to have they talk about diversity, but it's like, it's not just, having XYZ categories, skin color, whatever. It's more about, ideology, I mean, characters, stories, diversity in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, how does what happens if a woman accuses another woman of rape? What are they gonna believe?
It's like dividing by zero. But I mean, I hope that for Epic's own sake, and to have more genuine competition in the market, that they adopt Steam's more laissez-faire, anything goes kind of approach when it comes to content policing. Granted, they're going to get a shit ton more hentai games in with the Unreal Engine. Maybe some of the VR games where you put on the headset and you touch fake boobies. But I think it'd just be better in the long run versus the outrageous content policing that the rest of the game media seems to just fucking salivate over.
Yeah. At least it got Palmer Luckey, the creator of Oculus, approval, but he's a disgraced Trump supporter who got kicked off of Facebook. So what does he know?
Could you imagine how half of these SJWs would react if they lived in Japan and had to play the games that came out in Japan?
Oh god.
Like the one, like the urinal games.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
No.
Where like there's a game like in a urinal for men, and like you have to use your pee to play.
I remember the shower with your dad controversy, and they wanted everyone to get rid of 2 or 3 colored pixels. Mm-hmm. Because that game, that 4.5-bit game was so triggering to people that they had to release a version where the 3 colored pixels in a row on certain parts of the anatomy of these characters don't even look like people had to be censored out.
Oh my god, Custer's Revenge left me with PTSD.
Well, it's the same art style as Custer's Revenge. It's absolutely appalling. You see clearer genitalia in a censored porn than you do in the uncensored version of Shower with Your Dad. So.
Yeah.
Hashtag bring back beat 'em and eat 'em.
Again, I think that the hate speech policies that IO or itch.io did, and the ones that Kotaku and Polygon are clamoring for, they're the same mealy-mouthed, more authoritarian versions of the grantedly mealy-mouthed, oh, we're just going to let anything in policy that Steam has, except that now they give people like, quote, the feminist group Ultraviolet that published a list of artists that want to suppress on the app Spotify, arguing that the company's new policy of not promoting artists who've done evil and obscene things was not being applied as broadly as the company's language seemingly allowed. So basically, it's like a complete gateway for, oh, this offends me, I want it off the platform. It's what South Park argued.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out, though. You ladies, being in the game development world, what are your final thoughts?
I mean, I feel like
give us money, I'm oppressed.
Yeah, I just see like at this point, like just going into it, you're not really going to get like I guess from a development standpoint, you're not going to get a solution that is 100% in your favor or ideal. You just have to go with that expectation, going forward, and just be like, well, I can do a soft release on itch, but they might, kick me off the platform if it's something they don't pretty much agree with. And then Steam with their, the royalty payout and, having to pay to play to get on their platform and everything like that. But they have a larger audience. So it's like you're kind of just giving up something to try to gain a little ground.
But I guess ultimately Steam's still the holy grail, so the content policy they have is still the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most viewers. I feel like it's, people kind of complain about the whole thing of like malware and asset flips, which is a problem, I guess, the integrity of the genre. But I think I rather would just have something that was more Wild West and just let people express themselves and just let people decide, and through reviews and consumer advocacy, just say yeah, this is crappy, or yeah, promote this, we want more of this.
You want a Wild West kind of environment? Are you saying that there's going to be cowboys punching suffragists?
Here's a
How
question.
dare you?
Here's a question: if this really goes forward, is this going to be the new version of Console Wars?
Well, hopefully. I mean, again, competition breeds innovation.
Steam gets exclusive distribution rights to Fallout or something, and then itch.io gets exclusive distribution to The Witcher or something else.
Yeah, I think competition is healthier, but yeah, I am kind of like skeptical with all these different media companies have their own streaming platforms. You're just kind of curious, like, is that the future for gaming industry as we know it, at least on the PC front?
Well, at least unlike the console wars, you get both. You can have multiple services on one machine, so it's not like you have to go out and buy another piece of hardware. You just have to have. Can't remember which platform has The Witcher on it. This one, nope. This one, nope. This one. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, at least there's choices and it's more convenient, which is why I kind of got into PC gaming, was because consoles these days for me don't really have anything that I can't really get off of some other areas.
And usually better off too.
Yeah.
As far as graphics and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can always update your machine if you want a new graphics card or whatever.
Yep, now we just gotta wait a year for Red Dead Redemption 2 and we're good. Then I can punch a suffragette.